We're joined now by political analyst Jihad Mashamoun. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Give me your assessment of the current situation and the chance of a resolution, because it appears from the outside if the two warring factions can't even hold a ceasefire, then the chances of a greater peace accord seem slim.
Thank you for having me. Absolutely. There have been multiple truces between both sides, the Sudanese armed forces under the command of Lieutenant General Al-burhan and the rapid support forces of Lieutenant General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo Hameti. Unfortunately, these ceasefires have been broken from time to time again, and it has been the sixth or seventh time now the ceasefire has been broken. The truce and ceasefire, basically. The reason for that is because the rapid support forces doesn't have really command and control over its forces in Khartoum at the moment. And at the same time, the army, the Sudanese armed forces, are using the air force, from what I'm sensing and hearing around, is to attack any reinforcements of the rapid support forces coming from Darfur region. Now, on the political level, on what's happening in Sudan and in the midst of this conflict, is political parties and political organizations have united into a civilian front calling an end to the war and the restarting of the transition talks. However, this can only be done through a peaceful environment where there is cessation of hostilities, and that cannot be done at this current time point without the involvement of regional powers, Saudi Arabia and Emirates.
Well, exactly.
Okay.
That's the question. I mean, how much influence can the international community and particularly neighbouring countries have on bringing some sort of peace to Sudan? Because presumably they have a vested interest. Because if the country breaks down into civil war, then there's a lot for them to lose.
Absolutely. There's a lot of interest. Saudi Arabia and Emirates, for example, they're invested in both sides of the both factions who are fighting one another. Especially Saudi Emirates, I'll start with Emirates, has a $6 billion agreement to start a new port in Sudan, Port Sudan. And Saudi Arabia has a $13 to $15 billion agreement to build a railway from Port Sudan into Chad. So there's a lot of vested interest. Importantly, Emirates on its own is the first trading partner of Sudan since 2021 or even earlier. So there is a vested interest. The problem here is that at the moment is that there seems not to be any coherent policy on how to deal with this crisis from both sides on Sudan. You see Emirates looking from far away to what's happening, but Saudi Arabia and America are actually getting involved and finding a cessation of hostilities. Now, this cessation of hostilities cannot happen without both Saudi Arabia and Emirates stopping the funding from both sides. Now, it's a question of what is the priorities of Saudi Arabia and Emirates in regards to Sudan. Do they want stability, which is proven not to be working so far because they get their advice from former security officials of the former regime? Or do they want democracy, which will ensure the stability in the region, in Sudan and the rest of the region? So it depends also, importantly, on the U.S. involvement and pressuring those two countries into understanding that democracy in Sudan is within their interest. And by democracy, I mean civilian democracy, not civil-led civil-led transition. By civil-led, everyone understands that it means a civil-military partnership. And until now, that has proven not working.
Well, Jihad, it sadly seems a long way off. Diplomacy is needed, but meanwhile, civilians will pay the price. We thank you very much indeed for joining us on the News Hour. Jihad Mashamoun, thank you.